The Rugby Championship round 3 is here, and after just 2 rounds the tournament is finally poised with all 4 teams on 1 win each. So a massive weekend lies ahead, both on the field and off the field with the fantasy game, which is proving to be as equally unpredictable as the actual tournament. Kicking off with a very quick recap of my team from round 2 and the standings in the FRG leagues. Kicking off with the official game. So I don't know about you, but round 2 was an absolute disaster for me, both on the official game and Superbru. I mean, it was pretty unlucky in a lot of areas. Jean-Luc Dupré being a very late withdrawal was a nightmare start for me, but then following on from that, I also had injuries to Cortez Ratimer, Thomas Albanos, Suolihi coming off at half-time, had yellow cards for Sevu Reece, Will Jordan and Tupu Vai. It was just an absolute nightmare. Focusing on those who did okay for me, I had Ardi Surveyor, super reliable. Fraser McCrate got a very respectable 21 points. Thomas Dutoy, 29 points. Cody Taylor, 28 points. And honestly, that was about it. Cheslin Colby really didn't do much for me. Neither did Sevu Reece. Captain Will Jordan, very, very disappointing. Suolihi only ended up getting 1 point. Tupu Vai, only 3 points. Ratimer and Albanos, like I said, injured, but still scored low. So all in all, a round to forget for me. Looking at the FRG league and seeing the players who did perform well. So top of the league right now is Toddy on 950 points after 2 rounds. Absolutely excellent performance from him. Ariel 10, Techie Munches, R Maggi at 10, Dream Fancy Box, Gasman, Rendog, Cheek to Cheek, AZ 25 and Huey G7 make up the top 10. Then looking at Paul's league, my great mate Ben Glauser from the Fantasy Rugby Yanks podcast is leading the way in first place. Next up, we've got Dalio, Chris Rugby, Thunderlocks, Ben Edgetts, Getty Yolonaise, Aidan Collins, Torpo, Scrum Kitchen, and I make up the top 10 in that league. And if I thought the official game was bad, Superbru was an absolute disaster for me. Captain Will Jordan, -6 points. Rico Ioane, 1.5. Geordie Barrett, 0.5. Bonan Barrett on kicks, only 5.5. Tupu Vai, 1 point. Taniela Tupu, 2.5 points. Honestly, the only bright spots really for me was Ardi Surveyor on 9.5 points, Colby on 10 points, and Kanan Moody on 9.5 points. This was genuinely the worst Superbru week I've ever had in any game. An absolute disaster. Looking at the FRG league to see the players who didn't have a disaster. So leading the way, we got Charles with his raucous lemurs in first place on 325.5 points. Dead Ants in second, Squidgy Mouse in third, Dougie 1702 in fourth place. Then we got Fernando, Duke, Tobias Cassidy, Ari, Ahigney, and Cake Crusader make up the top 10. Okay, onwards to this week's picks. And as before, I'm looking at players who should score well in the official game format. I'm also going to look at some value options at the end to ensure that you have some good value enablers to allow you to spend money on premium options elsewhere, and also ensure that you hit your team quotas with a minimum of 3 players from every team. So if you're struggling with any options for all 4 teams, then make sure you watch on till the very end. Firstly, a quick run through of the matches for this week. Round 3 is going to kick off with Australia hosting Argentina in Queensland. The weather is looking really good for a match that should see plenty of attacking rugby with plenty of fire in both back lines. This is followed immediately by a massive match-up at Eden Park between the old rivals of the All Blacks and the Springboks. Will New Zealand's unbeaten streak at Eden Park come to an end this week? The weather's not looking good, so this could well be a real upfront battle fought at close quarters. Prediction-wise, looking at the data from our friends at Rugby Forecast, the algorithm suggests 2 close-looking matches, with tight victories predicted for both the All Blacks and for the Wallabies. So now a quick run through of my recommended fantasy players for round 3 of the Rugby Championship. These are the top fantasy options in each position, in my opinion. You'll obviously need to blend these with some value options that I'm going to be covering later on in this video. So kicking off from the top with the props. Leading the way for me is Thomas Dutoy from South Africa. He scored very well in round 2. Now he's back in international contention. He was one of the top try-scoring props in the Premiership this season, and he's a very, very reliable fantasy option. I can see the forwards really being where the points are in that South African-New Zealand game. Next up, we've got Taniela Tupu of Australia. Again, a very strong carrier, an option for more than just scrum points from the front row. And then wrapping things up is Fletcher Newell of New Zealand. He got on the try sheet in round 2. He's been really impressive so far. And like the other two, he brings real attacking additional points as well as his scrum points. Now looking at hookers, starting off with Cody Taylor of New Zealand. Again, Cody Taylor has been a reliable performer for many, many years. The New Zealand maul looks strong, albeit it hasn't been Taylor that's been on the end of it, but he should be an important cog in the New Zealand machine this weekend. And then we've got Billy Pollard of Australia. Now, Argentina really seemed to struggle with the New Zealand maul in the first 2 matches. This could well be a weak area for Argentina. Billy Pollard got on the end of many, many maul tries for the Brumbies this season in Super Rugby. So I think he should go well this weekend, and he's also great value, so well worth looking at as a hooker option this weekend. Into the second row now, and for the first time this tournament, we don't have any out of position options. We have no locks playing in the back row this week, so I'm just focusing on players that should perform well from their second row position. Kicking off with Tupu Vai of New Zealand. We know how dangerous he is in the loose, real handful in the line out as well. He should be a really strong option this weekend. Also, Aben Etzebeth, he's probably been the form second row of the tournament so far. Massively impressive in round 2 against Australia. He's due another massive game against New Zealand, and he will be in the thick of the action. And then finally, we've got Nick Frost of Australia. So in round 1, he was an absolute menace in the line out. With conditions being as they are, he should go well again in the line out this weekend, and is a great option. He's also dangerous when he's got the ball in hand, deceptively fast. He's a great all-round option this weekend. Into the back row now, we've got to start with the one and only Ardie Savea of New Zealand. This is exactly the kind of game that he always seems to deliver in. I mean, he's so consistent. Even last week when nobody else was scoring big, Ardie Savea was in the thick of the points. Definitely one to watch, probably the most popular player in the game. Then we've got Juan Martin Gonzalez of Argentina. Again, like Savea, a real all-rounder, dangerous in attack and defence. He should get plenty of carry points. He should be in the thick of the tackling as well. He always seems to score consistently. We've got Harry Wilson, who was outstanding in round 1 and missed round 2 for injury. 2 tries against the box in round 1. He's a brilliant carry of the ball. He will always get massive meter stats. And for me, he's one of the first names in my team sheet. Then wrapping up, we've got Wallace Satiti of New Zealand, playing at number 8 this week, starting for the first time in this year's Rugby Championship. He'll be one of New Zealand's big carrying options in the pack, and they're going to be absolutely needed this weekend. So I can see Wallace Satiti being in the thick of the points this week. Moving into the backs now, starting with scrum halves. I've gone with one of the most impressive players of the tournament so far. First up, Grant Williams. This weekend, he should be massively influential again. Then as an alternative option, we've got Gonzalo Garcia of Argentina. He really impressed in round 2. I think with the conditions being as they are, he could be a really strong option and could be a very strong differential pick. Then it's fly half. I've gone for 2 options here that would both be racking up some big kicking points in round 3. With the conditions being as they are, the kicking boot will be really important for both Beauden Barrett and Handré Pollard of South Africa. I'd probably give Barrett the slight edge given his ability with the ball in hand and his attacking ability, but both are strong options. Moving into centres, some tough calls to make here. I'm starting with Santiago Chocobarros of Argentina. Just a brilliant carry of the ball, really dangerous. He should be punching holes in that Australian backline. Really impressive so far, one of the players of the tournament. He's going straight into my team. For the other 2, this was slightly harder. I've gone with Billy Proctor of New Zealand. He had a very quiet round 1, but he bounced back in round 2 and showed the form that he was showing at the end of last season in Super Rugby. And then finally, for the last one, I was weighing up between Len Ikitau and Joseph Suolihi. I went with Ikitau. Suolihi, he just seems to be a bit boom and bust. 1 week, big scores. The next week, quiet scores, whilst Len Ikitau is one of the most consistent performers and was one of the top scoring centres in the Super Rugby fantasy game under the same scoring format. Into the outside backs now, and I'm kicking these off with Corey Toole of Australia. He was one of the top scoring outside backs in the official game for the Super Rugby under the same format. He had more line breaks than any other player in Super Rugby this season, and this is a metric that scores really well in the same scoring format. He should go well against Argentina. Conditions are perfect for a player like him, and I can see him being on the end of potentially 1 or 2 tries this week. Likewise, Max Jorgensen, one of the form players of the tournament so far, absolutely on fire in both games against South Africa. If he brings this form to Argentina, they're going to be in big trouble. And then from the same match, I've gone for Mateo Carreras of Argentina, an absolutely devastating runner, a real eye for the try line. He will be going well again this weekend. And then wrapping up with Will Jordan of New Zealand. Obviously, he had a very, very disappointing performance in round 2, but you just can't rule Will Jordan out with a moment of magic. The guy just can't stop scoring. Okay, now a quick word on who I'm looking at for captain options this week. Kicking off with Corey Toole of Australia. As I mentioned before, he really flourishes under this scoring format, and he's got a great opportunity to get some tries in this weekend. Also, Max Jorgensen, the form outside back in the entire game. He'll definitely be one to watch, and you wouldn't want to bet against him scoring a try this weekend. And then wrapping up with Ardie Surveyor of New Zealand, just such a consistent performer. You can put the captain on him and be safe in the knowledge that he will be constantly turning over the points. Finally, let's take a look at some value picks. Now on the official game, not only is budget tight, but you must select a minimum of 3 players from every country. So here's a good list of value options to allow you to spend big elsewhere. Kicking off with Tom Robertson of Australia as a prop, available for 3.5 million. Alongside him, we've got Taniela Tupu, also available for 3.5 million. Into the hookers, Billy Pollard, as I mentioned earlier, should go well this week, and he is the cheapest starting hooker in the game at just 5.5 million. Into the locks, there's a few options here. Tom Hooper, available for just 3.5 million. Playing the second row this weekend rather than the back row, but still should be dangerous. Nick Frost, the line-out machine, is available for 4 million. And then Pedro Rubiolo, again, has been one of the top performers in the second row this tournament so far, available for just 3.5 million. Into the back row now, Simon Parker. He's moved on to the flank for this game, but he's available for just 5 million, worth considering. Finlay Christie, the cheapest scrum half starting this weekend, available for 5 million. Again, a good differential option at scrum half. Len Ikitau, one of the best centre options and only available for 6.5 million. Got to be considered. And then into the back three, we've got Mateo Carreras available for 7 million. Alongside Amoni Narara of New Zealand, also for 7 million, and Andrew Kellaway, also available for 7 million for Australia and starting at fullback this week. So, as always, I hope that was helpful. More details can be found over at fantasyrugbygeek.com, where my full second round picks are now available. And if you want to see my full team reveal, then head over to my membership site at buymeacoffee.com, where you'll also be able to share your team with me for direct feedback on any changes I'd recommend. Make sure you give me a follow on X, Blue Sky, Threads, TikTok and Instagram for any breaking fantasy news. And also, there's still time to join my leagues, especially the Prize League for Pool. You can find all the links to my leagues in this video description. So get your teams in, enjoy the rugby, and good luck.